Hello and welcome to a new kind of video that I thought I wanted to do, that is me just editing my photos. And usually what I do is I find a photo that I didn't really think would work out and I try to edit it, and in the recent time I actually find that a lot of them work out pretty great and it turns out to be a great edit. So this is a way of turning something that you might have otherwise scratched and not thought of into a really good image. So I thought that I would share the process and just edit the photo, but to not make the video very long and to put some restraints on myself, I have put a timer for 15 minutes. That's the total amount that I have to edit this photo. And just to show you what we will be doing, I am turning this photo into this edit. So without any more waste of time, let's just jump right into Lightroom. I'm starting the timer now and giving myself 15 minutes. Go. Alright, so I've chosen this photo that is a drone top down from Uluwatu here in Bali. And first thing I want to do, because I'm going to post this on Instagram, is just to hide the bottom down here and turn this one, rotate it right. Okay, so this is more like the format that we will have. And now we start working with the edit. So my workflow is to begin with the tone curve, and what I usually do is just create these 3 points, and I turn up the highlights and the midtones, and I check down the blacks or the shadows a little bit. Maybe turn up the midtones more, and actually turn up these a little bit more as well. So already now we have a lot more contrast. It looked kind of flat before, it was shot in RAW. It looks much better with some of the colors and stuff now, so still not completely happy with the quality, but this is the point of having an edit that, or a photo that is not perfect and might otherwise just like scratched. Let's see if we can revive it. So I will just turn down the highlights a little bit and turn up the shadows just to stretch the file. And I'm looking at the histogram up here to see what kind of information that I had to work with, and it is a darker photo. Let's see what happens if we, I think we might turn up the exposure just a little bit and actually turn it a little bit warmer. This was shot at sunset, but I think I got the white balance wrong to begin with. Alright, so this is already starting to look a little bit better. So this is the before and the after. Definitely liking this more already. For the calibration, I'm usually just turning them each way, and I like the kind of yellows a little bit more on this. I like to go just around 10. And let's see here. Yeah, I'm liking more to the left side. And for this one, if you turn it all the way down here, it's more like the teal and orange kind of feel, but if you don't crank it that far, maybe actually just -5 here, and my mouse is not really working with me. There we go. Something that I sometimes do as well is just usually put the saturation in the same spot as we've done with the other ones, and I'll just do that really quickly here because my mouse is not really working with me. Okay, for the shadows, I'm usually just putting in some blue to give some more contrast and colors, and give it a little bit more blue in those. In the highlights, it was shot at sunset, so we want to put in some yellows and some oranges into the highlights, but not too much. And for the midtones as well, I like to create this usually more orange look, but not too much as well. So just around there. As you can see, the difference is subtle, but it is there, and it's definitely looking a little bit more like sunset now, which it was. So I'm not faking the sunset or anything. All right, so moving down to the colors. Let's see. I'm not doing that much with these, but I like it to have it a little bit more to the red. And for this, we'll keep it a little bit more towards the reds as well. For this, I think we will be moving a little bit to the right to keep it more green. And then for the greens, we're actually pushing them a little bit more to the oranges. So we get this. I like these these light greens because it did really look like this at sunset. And while I do a lot of dark greens, at least to begin with, this is what I like for this one. And the ocean is always a little bit difficult to get the right blues, so the aqua we will turn down and try not to mess too much with the blues. I like it a little bit more to the turquoise side here. And I don't think we really have any purple or any magenta, no. Alright, then moving into the saturation, we'll just turn the saturation down a little bit for the oranges and the reds. For the oranges, or the yellows, sorry, I want to turn them up a little bit, I think. And I think I'll turn the greens down so that we have a little bit more contrast. And for the aqua, we're turning that up a little bit. What I'm really doing is just playing around with each side and seeing what I like, and knowing what I will be doing later with masking. I think we're keeping it there. Then for the luminance, we are definitely moving this up a little bit, and also the oranges, because this is the side where the sun was really shining, and I think that needs to be a little bit brighter. For the yellows, I like those to pop a little bit, and then we'll turn down the greens to create that contrast up here. And for the aquas, we're turning that up a little bit, and the blues as well, I think, because we will adjust that later. And then for the details, I'm not really sure how much of an impact this has, but I'm always holding down my option key and then turning this up to see what I'm actually going to enhance with sharpening. And for this one, I'm just turning it all the way up. And I'm just doing it slightly here, and it's not a big difference, but you can see it's just sharpening it a little bit. And with drone shots, they always need a little bit of sharpening. So I think I'm pretty happy with where we are now so far. So we turned it from this flat image to this, but we're definitely not done yet. So what I'm usually doing now is I will move into the masking. And first of all, I think actually we are not going to use the gradients first. I think we'll do the color one. And we'll just choose all the blues up here, but I don't want the blues that is in the shadows down here. We actually want maybe these as well. No. Alright, so we just want those blues, but we don't want the ones at the bottom, so I'm going to intersect the mask with a linear one. And I'm just going to drag that around here, and that makes sure that we only select what's up here with our color range. So everything down here is not selected. And now I'm just going to turn this a little bit more into the blue side and turn the shadows down a little bit. Highlights up, give it some more contrast. I'm really not liking what it looks like with this color down here, but let's see if we can adjust that with a little bit of texture. Yeah, I think now we got some more blue color into it, at least. I think that's pretty good. So I turned down the temperature and I played a little bit around with the highlights and the shadows just to give it a bit more contrast as well. And what I like to do now is to do my linear gradient, and we are definitely going to give it go from down here, and then we will turn down the shadows and the highlights, and probably not as much as we just did there, just to give it some more contrast and balance and draw attention away from the lower part down here. So just giving it some more contrast. You can see the difference here. Just giving it some more contrast and drawing attention away, giving it some more depth. And I think because we have our light, our sun coming from up here, we are going to try and see what happens if we give it a little bit more. I know we just made this one up here cooler, but this will also affect this part down here. Turn up the highlights and the shadows a little bit to give this effect that we get the sun from over here. And I think, yeah, we're turning up the whites just a little bit as well. And contrast down. So now we get more of a feeling. You can see it was already there a little bit, but now we get even more of a feeling and a little bit of a warmer tone. I think this is pretty good so far. We only have 5 minutes left, so I'm actually going to do what I usually do, and I'm jumping into Photoshop. I just pressed Command E, and that just makes a copy of the photo and puts it into Photoshop as well. And I'm pressing Command J to make a new layer, or duplicate the layer, and I'm calling this one Corrections. And what I want to do is press J, and I just want to go into the photo and clean it up a little bit with the cleaning tool here. Just some of these small distractions that I don't really like in the image, and there aren't a lot of them in this photo, to be honest. Maybe a little bit with the stones and the rocks down here. This one's a little bit distracting. Actually this photo is pretty clean, so we're not going to do much more. Just zooming out again, and then we are going to make a new duplication of this and do dodge and burn, and then we're pressing O to get the dodge and burn, and Shift O to switch it, and this will give us the highlights first, and we have selected the highlights up here. So let's see if we can just brush over this part, and it's not very significant what we're doing right now. I'm just giving the highlights a little more light everywhere here, and we will do the same with the midtones. So just giving the midtones a little bit more light here, also up here, and then we are doing a Shift O to turn to the burn tool. We're doing the midtones up here, just darkening them a little bit here. Actually want to darken this part a little bit more over here as well. It's not very significant right now, but you will see in a minute what we've done. We're moving to the shadows as well, and I just want to create some more depth with the shadows here as well. And over here on the top too. And just in general, actually, we want a little bit more. So if I hide this, you can see that we've created some more play in this and a lot more contrast as well down here. And I could have probably done a lot of this in Lightroom too, but I feel like I have more control when I do it inside of Photoshop. So now I'm doing an adjustment layer with selective colors. I think we are pretty good with the reds already. Let's just see here. I like them a little bit less with yellows. Then maybe turn up the blacks. For the yellows, let's see. I actually like them a little bit more to the left to get that yellow vibe, that sunset look that was there when we shot the photo. And just taking this down a little bit again to not have it too saturated. And we're giving this less blacks to give it a little bit more color and light. And for the greens, again, we're moving those a little bit to the left here to get some more yellows, also here, and moving them towards the yellows to keep the saturation. And then we're moving them, giving them some more dark to give them a little bit more contrast. Then we move to the blues, and I want them to be more cyan. Also, actually want them to be a little bit more like this, and just playing around with the colors right now to see what works. I like them with the more yellows and more contrast there as well. And then we move to the blues. Yeah, a little bit more cyan into that. Definitely more magenta to keep the depth, and it looks a little bit better with less yellow. Let's see if we want, I think we want a little bit more blacks in it. So what we've done now is just create a little bit more cohesiveness in the colors, and a little bit more contrast overall. And I think this looks pretty good. We are 1 minute left on time. So what I sometimes do around here, I actually think it's pretty good, but let's move back to the dodge and burn. I actually want to go and burn the highlights a little bit over here because I feel like they got Maybe just a little bit too bright. And over here as well, because the sun is coming from the right. I think this is pretty good. I'm not too happy with the water up here. I might want to correct all of these small ones, but that will take longer time, so I might just skip through that and see if that can work. So just create a new copy and quickly try and see. If we can actually work with this, or what will happen. Yeah, I think it will end up looking a lot better if we clean it up. And there is the timer. So I will just quickly try and clean up all of this and then get back to you. You know what, I decided to delete that one again because I think that's actually okay. Yeah, I kind of like this photo now. So let's see what we've done in Photoshop. We've corrected it a little bit. We've given some more contrast and we corrected the colors a little bit as well. And to keep sort of within time, I'll leave it at this. So I'll just hit Command S, save it. And as soon as it's done saving up here, we can close Photoshop again. And now we are in here in Lightroom again. As you can see, here is before we went into Photoshop and here is after. I quite like this photo actually. Maybe we want a little bit more light up here. So I might just as a final thing want to do a color thing up here and then just turn up the highlights and the whites just a little bit. And then actually turn the texture and the clarity down because I don't want it to be that defined. Whites up. Yeah, I think that's better. That's definitely better. Okay. And then the final thing we need to do is just to do the Instagram crop. And I think this will look pretty good. So this is our final photo. This is what we ended up with. One thing that could be changed is removing the thing down here, and we can do that inside of Lightroom. Let's see if it works. That's why I usually go into Photoshop. I removed it more or less, so that's fine for our photo now and for this challenge. So I'm just gonna hit Shift Command E, choose my Instagram preset. Gonna rename it to Uluwatu Top Down Edit. I don't really care much about the names, I'm just finding some random things. And what I do for my preset here is just to resize the fit to be 1000 pixels on the long edge and have the resolution of 72 pixels per inch. So that's it, I export it and now it can be posted on Instagram. Thank you so much for following along on this tutorial and I really hope you learned something. I'm sorry for going over time and I'll try to do it better. Let me know if you like this kind of series and like me talking through doing some edits. I think it's fun and I think I want to do a lot more, but of course if nobody wants to watch it, then it doesn't make much sense. But until the next time, take care.